Welcome to TroyPSilva.com. This week's episode is an episode that everybody needs to watch. Parents, coaches specifically, and all hitters that are trying to create this new system of hitting, if you want to call it, called launch angle. So we're going to talk about launch angle today, but before we start, this episode is brought to you by Baseballism. Go to baseballism.com, check out their stuff. They have awesome gear. I love it. So this launch angle craze that's out there these days, I just wanted to do a video. I get people all the time on social media saying, hey, what do you think about launch angle? What do you think about launch angle? You have all these big leaguers talking about launch angle, all these new cool analytical data things that are registering launch angle, and I'm here to give you guys the goods and the bads and what to be aware of so that you're doing things properly still at the plate, but also understanding kind of what this launch angle craze is. Now, the biggest thing about launch angle that you guys need to know before I even explain what it is for you guys that don't know what it is basically trying to get the ball up in the air. So basically getting the ball to land in the outfield versus hitting this ground ball type of swing path, if you want to call it. So the first thing about launch angle is basically launch angle is, if you think about it this way, the ball basically getting here to your bat and going up off your bat versus going down off your bat. There was a major league study in, I think, 2013 or 2014, and I'm not exactly sure how accurate this is, but I would guarantee it's pretty close. Anyway, the study was in major leagues, so this isn't in like in high school or little league or anything like that, but in the major leagues, every 4 balls that were hit in play that were on the ground, one of them got through for a base hit. So basically the batting average was 250. So 1 out of every 4 ground balls in the big leagues in 2013 or 14 ended up in a hit. 3 out of 4 balls that landed in the outfield or landed over the fence were basically a hit or somehow getting on base. So basically kind of increased their average 500 points just to hit the ball in the air. So I think that's why this whole craze of launch angle is taking precedence in not only like Major League Baseball, but all through baseball and softball, because I believe it too. I believe that you have more opportunities when you hit the ball in the air to get a base hit. So I'm going to go into the details of the goods and the bads and kind of what type of hitters need to be doing specific things. But if you really think about that, you give yourself more opportunities if the ball lands in the outfield grass versus landing on the dirt. Now again, you're going to be, some of you guys are coaching Little League and some of you coaching high school and college and pro ball. It's different. Every kid is different. Every situation is unique. Every kid you coach has a different approach to what they're doing depending on size and strength and who they are as a hitter and do they run fast and all that kind of good stuff. But I think the main objective behind this launch angle stuff is to realize how important it is to train yourself the right way. So how you train yourself is who you're going to be in a game, and I'm going to go into detail on a lot of that stuff. So that's kind of the overall idea of launch angles. They think about it this way: a 10 degree launch angle is like a low line drive that's about head high kind of to the shortstop, which is a potential hit, right, unless you line it out at somebody. If you get it to the 15 to the 25 to the 35 degree launch angle, the ideal launch angle, depending on what type of hitter you are, is in that 15 to kind of 35 degree range. You guys have got mucho power. You can hit it 40 degrees and still get it out of the yard. But it's that overall kind of 15 to 35 degrees is what these I guess players and coaches are trying to get to these days. So let's just start on the goods of the launch angle. I've been talking about launch angle stuff before the word launch angle was even created several years ago, basically for decades, about basically trying to hit the ball consistently on the barrel out of the infield to land in the outfield grass. So it's something that I've been doing for a long time, and I think that's one of the reasons why we've had such success with our programs and our hitters, is because the hitters really learn how to hit and how to hit properly without even using the term launch angle. It's just the terms kind of impeded the baseball and softball communities these days. So the first one I want to talk about when it comes to why this is so important is the number one thing that I've seen, especially with the younger hitters, is it creates confidence. The kids that can hit the ball harder and that can hit the ball farther will be more confident with their approach when they step in the box. The kids that get in there and they just kind of hit these ground balls all the time, and that's what they do. I mean, I go to Little League coaches clinics, and I speak all over the place, and one of the things is they just hit so many ground balls, and they kind of get defeated because the ground ball doesn't build confidence. It doesn't make them feel like they're crushing the ball or feel like they have power. So the first thing is it creates confidence. The second thing is it actually promotes proper swing path and proper swing plane. So in my book, 9 Innings of Hitting, if you haven't read that, make sure you go check that out. The whole idea behind being a quality hitter is arriving your bat on time and on plane. So on time means hitting the ball on the proper contact point on the front side of your body somewhere, depending on the pitch location. And on plane means your bat getting on the same plane as the ball. So if the pitch is coming down, your bat gets on the same plane, you're going to have more success and more opportunities to be a good hitter, basically. So it promotes that by trying to get the ball up off the bat versus down off the bat. It also helps you adjust to different locations. What I see these days is this whole choppy thing's going away, finally, thank God. The whole chop down to the ball doesn't promote that. It doesn't allow that. It creates too much pop-ups with no force and too many ground balls. So it helps you adjust to different locations. It helps you adjust to different pitches, especially off speed. If your mindset is to get the ball up off your bat and he throws you a good changeup, throws you a good slider, curveball, now you're going up to the ball versus kind of rolling your hands, as they call it, or cutting your swing off, or whatever the mechanical terminology you want to use. So it actually promotes the ability to be on time with different locations and different speeds as well. If you're a little bit out in front and you get up to the ball, or you're trying to get it up, you're going to get more opportunities for hits. If you're a little bit late and you're behind the ball, now you're going to do the same thing. So when you focus on that proper launch angle, you're actually giving yourself the opportunity to get behind the pitch that's breaking down in the dirt and not hitting those weak ground balls. And in tune with that too, it actually gives more room for error. So if your swing is kind of in and out of the zone, up or down, it doesn't matter. When you're creating that proper launch angle, you're giving yourself more room for error. You can hit the top half of the ball and still hit it hard on the ground. You hit the bottom half of the ball and still hit it farther. And then you can hit it farther out in front and farther deeper in the zone and still be successful. So it also promotes that too as well. The other thing that it promotes is when you don't make solid contact. These days, in Little League, it's a little bit different, excuse me, but these days, if you hit the ball off the handle or off the end of the bat, you're basically not going to get a base hit if the ball's hit on the ground. I mean, unless you squib one and it's a slow roller and you beat it out. But if you hit a regular ground ball because you hit it off the end of the bat, or you get jammed with the improper launch angle, you're not getting on base. If you get jammed and you hit it, or you hit it off the end of the bat with the proper launch angle, it gives you more opportunities to still flare that ball in there. If you go watch a big league game, you'll see how many balls still fall in for hits that aren't crushed, or maybe they find the end of the bat or the handle because they've trained themselves to have that proper launch angle. That proper launch angle just gives you more opportunities to get hits when you don't square the ball up on the barrel. And I think too, another important factor to the launch angle thing is it makes you compete harder. It makes you feel like you gotta be more explosive, be more quick with your bat speed, be more aggressive to try to get that farther distance or that better exit velocity. And that kind of leads into the launch angle versus exit velocity. Exit velocity, basically, for you guys that don't know what it is how hard you're hitting the ball off the bat. There's a craze on exit velocity today, and I personally think that it's more important to focus on hitting the ball hard with exit velocity versus the launch angle thing. I think the exit velocity as a hitter, if you just get in there and you compete against the pitcher and you square the ball up on the barrel and you hit it hard, whether it's down or up, you're doing your job and you're doing well as a hitter. If you can combine the exit velocity with the proper launch angles, that's when you create doubles, triples, home runs approach, and you hit the ball harder and farther. And with this being said too, when a kid can learn how to hit that double and that triple, it just builds that ability to be more confident again when we step in the box, like the first thing I said. So you basically are how you train yourself. I see kids these days, they'll go do some tee work and they'll put the tee up and they'll hit the ball off the tee, working on their swing, which is great. But what they're doing is they're embedding repetition after repetition after repetition, hitting ground ball after ground ball after ground ball, because off the tee they're hitting the ball down, which is going to be a two hopper to the shortstop, second baseman, or third baseman, versus hitting the ball up off the tee. So what we want to do with this whole launch angle thing isn't necessarily focus on the exact launch angle and the degree. We want to focus on how we train ourselves. If we train ourselves to hit doubles, triples, and home runs, now when we don't hit a double, it's a base hit, it's still a good outcome. I think too many times these days, kids are too happy with just getting a hit, you know what I mean? And then when they just get a hit and they that's all they can do is get a base hit and there's no power behind it, it doesn't allow them to be successful and it doesn't build that confidence. So basically you are how you train yourself. I'm going to say that over and over and over. Now, the flip side of this launch angle stuff is the bads. The bads are, the first one is great hitters need to be able to do everything. Great hitters need to be able to hit and run. They'd be able to move a runner. They'd be able to, lift the ball, hit a ground ball when they need to. They need to be able to do everything. So if you get too concerned or too focused on just this launch angle every time you swing the bat, that's good because you are how you train yourself. But you also got to be well-rounded as a hitter, and well-rounded hitters play longer. They're more team-oriented. They actually can do the little things to help the team win versus just hit the ball far. Now, I was a guy that was like, I don't move runners. That's just who I was. I was like, I'm going to drive them in to move a runner. That's how I was. But depending on the type of hitter you are, you got to be able to do everything. And if you get too caught up with the launch angle craze, then sometimes you're not allowing yourself to be well-rounded as a hitter as well. The other thing, another thing that's bad when it comes to launch angles, it could develop, and I've seen this, it could develop bad swing flaws if they're doing things improperly. So they could develop a long swing because they're trying to lift the ball. They could develop their head popping up. If their head pops up, then obviously they can't see the ball very well. They can't recognize pitches very well. They could develop this little dip in their swing, which I hardly see anymore. Believe it or not, I rarely see kids really dip their hands anymore. It's more of a chop. So they could develop some of these swing flaws if it's not monitored correctly, and if it's the mindset of trying to hit the ball too high sometimes. I hit with a kid the other day. He's like 13 or 14 and he's like 100 pounds soaking wet, and he was trying to create this launch angle. I'm like, okay dude, I want you to hit the ball up, but let's not get it too far up, because now a fly ball is an easy out. So I'd rather you hit a hard ground ball than a fly ball in the infield, you know what I mean? So we got to be careful of what their mindset is and not get too over analytical about the exact launch angle. You can also get too concerned about not adjusting or focusing on the approach so much, or the launch angle so much, that you don't adjust your approach. If you're in the box thinking about lifting the ball and this pitcher's heavy sinker ball, then you're probably not going to adjust the ball down. Or if the guy's fast, or if the guy's slow, or whatever the pitcher is, if you're in there focusing on trying to jack the ball every time, you're probably not going to get in there with the right approach against those specific pitchers. So we have to understand that in the games, it's still about adjusting your approach to the pitcher versus just trying to hit the ball out of the yard or trying to hit the ball far. We train ourselves to do that, but in the game we must adjust our mindset. And then another big one, this is probably the biggest one when it comes to launch angle, is not everyone is the same type of hitter. We can't teach that little kid that's super fast to err on the side of flying out. We can't teach him that. The big 250-pound, 6'2" kids in high school, dude, you better jack the ball because that's your ticket to play at the next level. But not everyone's the same. So everyone's launch angle could be a little bit different. I'd rather have that left-hander that's really fast hit the ball on the ground and run and put some pressure on the defense than to fly out and waste their at-bat. So again, we got to remember that the launch angle stuff is dictated per specific kid and per specific individual too. If you want to get too detailed with it, it could ruin them on that aspect of it too. But at the same time, that little lefty that runs really fast, or maybe you're a righty that runs really fast, or maybe you're just small and you don't have a lot of power, to get that proper launch angle just gives you more opportunities to get that base hit versus just hitting the ball on the ground every time and getting yourself out. And there's other things that it could create too. A weak mentality. You can create a mentality of, it's all about me. You can create a mentality where I'm just trying to get to the next level. You can create a mentality of I want to drop a bomb and I want to hit home runs. And that's kind of what I want to get into on to kind of finalize this video. Is I played baseball since I was 5 years old, like most of you guys watching this video are just starting. And I tried to hit a home run almost every at-bat, if not every at-bat, all the way through probably my junior, senior year in college. Maybe even then I tried to hit one every time. And quite honestly, looking back, without any instruction whatsoever, not one coach telling me do this or do that with my swing, I look back and I'm like, that honestly made me the hitter that I was. I was one of the best hitters on my team every year, and I was really good at hitting because I think trying to lift the ball allowed me to be successful as a hitter because it got me on plane, it got me on the out front contact point, and when I erred, when I hit the ball too high or too low, it was still a good hit. And I think these days, Most coaches are like, oh, don't try to hit home runs. And Troy's not saying to go teach all of your hitters to try to hit a home run. But I am saying that mentality, that aggression, that quickness, that bat speed, that approach really, really helped me without even knowing it, without even thinking about it. So I don't want you guys to go take this video and start teaching every one of your hitters to try to hit a home run every time. But I will say this. If a hitter knows going into the box that they've put in the work, they've trained themselves with that launch angle, and they have that confidence going in there, they're going to be more successful. They're gonna give themselves more opportunities to get hits. And if everything's too high or too low, they're just not going to be very successful. So I've done numerous studies on this over the years before launch angle was even a thing. I've done it with my own kids. I've done it with teams. I've trained tens of thousands of kids, and it works basically. The successful kids are the kids that can hit the ball on that kind of 15 to 35 launch angle consistently off any pitch, off any speed, off any location. So if you really want to make your hitters better, if you really want to get better without overanalyzing, without thinking too much about what the launch angle is, train yourselves to hit the ball up off your bat in the outfield. And when you get into a game, it's all about just competing. You don't think about this stuff in a game. You just get in there and compete, and you try to find the barrel, and you compete for your team to win. Hope this video helps. I hope that you can take this for what it is. It's trying to help you understand the importance of this launch angle craze. Don't get too analytical with it, but at the same time recognize that if you have proper launch angles consistently, you're gonna be a better hitter, and you're gonna get more out of your team as well if you're a coach. God bless.